At St. Cloud State University, athletics are more than just games. They're an essential part of the Husky experience. From D1 hockey games to championship-winning wrestling, volleyball, and more, there's Husky pride in every corner of campus. Whether you're on the field, in the stands, or cheering from the student section, you're a part of something big. And the best part? SDSU is close to home, affordable, and packed with community that's got your back, in class and on the court. Come see what it means to be a Husky. Schedule your campus tour today at St. Cloud State University, the home of the Huskies.
For the Indians, one run on, let's see, one hit. That's all. We got one goddamn hit.
You can't say goddamn on the air.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
From the Gateway Lounge in Sioux Falls, it's Nobody's Listening Anyway. Here are your hosts, John Gaskins and Matt Zimmer.
Well, somehow we're going to slump through this show today from the Gateway Lounge. We are fresh off of last night's banger, the bash between our Sioux Falls Live brethren. Little get-together last night.
Little rally.
With our boss, Matt Zimmer, the sports editor. Wild Wings last night. Boy, it got crazy. You were doing cartwheels, and Cordell was doing keg stands, and Trent Singer was doing Cotton Eye Joe, and they threatened arrests, so it was a little wild. Good thing we didn't have our phones on last night. There wasn't a big crowd at the bar, but we somehow made it through. But thank you for having us.
Thank you for all that you guys have done, Cordell, John, Trent, Zach, and others. Just wanted to – it's the end of the athletic year, essentially, with high school and college sports being over, so a good time to get together and celebrate the work we've done.
Yep.
Although the work continues, as you know.
Yes, it does. There's – plenty to talk about today, including your attire. You actually managed. Now, you said, first of all, tell the people who aren't watching what you're wearing and why you're wearing it.
Well, you always kind of joke or make some sort of comment on what I wear usually, and I usually just grab whatever's in the closet.
Yeah.
But today I was actually changing clothes like a half hour ago, and I reached into the closet and I was like, wait, what should I wear today? And I was like, John will probably have his Canary stuff. I'm trying to always be pro Canaries. People get out, go to the games. Canaries games are fun. I'm rooting for them to have success. Well, they're in a little bit of a slump right now. So I thought, I know somewhere in the back of this closet is a vintage Canaries jersey.
Oh.
If I wear that,
you were getting specific.
Little free advertising, maybe a little good juju for the team since they're struggling. And sure enough, there it was, about as far back in the closet as you could get. Because I have, tons of jerseys. Because, when I was a kid, we all sports dorks, we wear jerseys when we were a kid. Then you become an adult, and you're kind of like, I shouldn't really be wearing other men's jerseys anymore.
No, I've always felt that way.
Right.
I've always had a big stance on that.
I was about 24, 25, where it might have been Mick, made a comment when I was in the office one day, like, are you guys going to keep wearing other dudes' jerseys your whole life, or what's the matter with you? And I was kind of like, yeah, he's right. Wearing them to the games is one thing.
Okay.
You go to a Vikings
games
game.
is an exception.
Right,
okay?
right. I think so.
Yeah.
But, I think he's right. That's dumb. So I didn't wear any jerseys basically through the second half of my 20s and all my 30s. But now I kind of feel like I'm old and I can go back. I feel like I can bring it back now. I'm old enough that I'm older than every professional athlete. So now I'm kind of bringing it back. I'm wearing my jerseys a little bit more. And so, I thought, I know I've got this cool Canaries jersey back. So I'm digging to get to the back. I found my Randall Cunningham Eagles jersey, my Troy Aikman Cowboys throwback jersey, my Warren Moon Vikings jersey, my 15 Twins jerseys. And there it was. This is, I believe, I don't know for sure, but I believe this was their inaugural jersey in 1993, if not pretty close to the early years. The logo with the feather and the bird. I used to have a hat with the same logo. I finally threw it away because hats shrink and then they don't fit you anymore. At least if they're fitted hats. So, go Birds.
A lot of intention there, my God. Not just I'm going to think about what I'm wearing at all, but that it's going to be a Canaries thing, and it's got to be an old Canaries jersey.
Well, it's the only Canaries jersey I have. I have a Pheasants jersey that doesn't get a lot of use. Maybe I'll wear that one next week. But.
I've never been a jersey person for all the reasons you just said, and I never had any jerseys except for the Canaries ones I've collected over the years just from working for the team, and especially the specialty night jerseys that you get for, that I would wear because it's that night. But my parents never really got me jerseys. I never really asked for them.
I begged for them every year for Christmas, birthday. That's what was on my list was whoever was my favorite player at the time. And I think I have Warren Moon, Randy Moss, Robert Griffith, maybe Jake Reed, Chris Carter, John Randall, Keith Millard.
Robert Griffith?
He was my Uncle Greg's favorite player. And then when he died, I just took it out of his closet, so I have that one.
Who did he play for?
He was Vikings safety in the 98 team. He was really good.
Was he like Robert Griffith III's dad?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I would.
Yeah,
Griffith.
Griffith. Yeah.
Gaskins exposed.
No, he was their strong safety in the 98 team.
Who? Cordell jerseys? Got any?
I owned one. It's a Jimmer Fredette Shanghai Sharks.
Jimmer Fredette Shanghai Sharks. Okay, that's randomly awesome. That's awesome.
Like 20 years ago, I actually wrote a blog or article, whatever, for the Argus on my jersey collection. Maybe it's been long enough I can do that article again, dig through the closet. And
about almost 20 years ago, it was my second week or so on the job in radio, living and working in Sioux Falls. I was just excited to be here, and then Colin Cowherd came into town to speak at a function.
I remember that.
And then he gladly, during the time slot of his show, he did a show just for us, just for the Sioux Falls audience, and it was out at Champ's Sports Bar, while somebody else filled in, and the rest of the nation heard the fill-in. Anyway, it was kind of a free-for-all. We asked him a few questions, but then we let fans. We filled the place, he filled the place, and somebody asked him about jerseys, and boy, they did not know what they were asking for because he said some of the same things we just said, but in his very Colin Cowherd, almost stand-up comedian way. And, there was like at least a third of the place of guys, they were wearing jerseys. They came in, I'm at a sports event, I'm going to wear my jersey, kind of thing. And they were kind of like, he's talking about me. This is the desert oasis of the summer now.
A little bit.
Because you've mentioned all of our sanctioned local sports here are done, high school and college for the year. Canaries are still going. But other than that, we just had the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup finish up, and then we got World Cup. I'm just expecting you not to have much to say about that. Not really our wheelhouse. Are you even...
Has it started yet?
Come on.
No. Oh, that's right. There was a game on last night. I wasn't trying to be a smart ass. I just am not interested.
Right. Yes. It started in the USA won their first game the other day, 4-1. So we won't be talking much about that here.
I will say the only thing I'll say about the World Cup and whenever it comes around is I just get so exhausted with both sides of the argument or whatever. I knew it was coming around because suddenly my social media was all either soccer fans talking about how their sport is the greatest sport in the world, the most beautiful game, and you stupid redneck Americans don't get it. Or the other side of it, people just shitting all over soccer, and it's terrible, and it's wimpy, and it's the dumbest sport ever. And I share neither of those opinions. I just am not a soccer fan. I don't want to – I'm so not interested in the please like my sport people or the people I like shitting on other people's sports. Let people like what they like and don't – because I will say a lot of times baseball fans are the please like my sport types. And I'm just like, I love baseball, and I don't. So I think baseball's boring. Okay, I'm not offended. I understand why you think it's boring. That's okay. Yeah. I'm not going to try to convince you to fall in love with baseball. So don't do the same thing to me with hockey or auto racing or soccer. Like, I like what I like. You like what you like, and have your fun, and that's great. If someone invited me to a World Cup party, maybe I'd go, but nobody invites me to World Cup parties.
They're fun. They've had them here at Gateway for years. Craven's doing a big one.
You had what's his name? Clint, right?
Clint
He's
Cron,
the guy that runs the thing.
Yes,
I met him once. Great dude.
Yeah,
and that's my point. Like, I don't want to piss on what someone else loves. That's a big deal to people like him. Like, good. Yeah. Enjoy it. I'm happy for you. I'm just not participating in it.
And the only time I ever watch soccer is when it's either the Olympics or the World Cup, and Team USA is playing. Plus, plus maybe the final.
I will say, just to interrupt briefly, Twin Cities has a MLS team now. Yeah. I kind of want to go to a game. I've driven past the stadium, and it looks cool. Yeah. I looked up their schedule. They basically play year-round. Yeah. The MLS season goes on forever. Yeah. So I was kind of like, I think at some point, if I'm up in the cities, I want to make an effort to go to – I don't even know what the team is called.
Yeah.
That's right. It's always
they're all called that.
Yeah, get a real name.
That is a lame soccer thing.
Yeah,
like
I
they
agree.
all call themselves the same. The United FC, this or that.
Yeah, I agree. That's lame.
I guess
but that's not for us to say. It's not our
no,
culture. We
it's
don't get
not.
it.
How dare us? But I guess the Loons is their nickname because they used to have a pro soccer team called the Loons.
Well, they had way back when they had the strikers and the kick.
The
and,
kicks.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Well, our mutual friend Greg, a man about town up there in the Twin Cities, sports and music. He'll go to any show, any game. He was a big fan. He's not a soccer person.
He's been to a game?
It's just
I'd like to go. I'd like to take Jen and Arthur.
What I do like about it has not really anything to do with the actual game. I mean, you hear people say it's the world's game, and that's what I kind of find fun about it is Sioux Falls, yes, there is some ethnic diversity and worldly diversity here in Sioux Falls, and I think if you go to a big World Cup gathering where there's dozens, if not a couple hundred people, you're going to meet people and see people. It happens at the American Outlaw Watch parties where guys who are literally from like Sudan or Senegal who live here in Sioux Falls, they'll gather here to watch their games.
One year we were at Arthur's baseball team, or it was probably T-ball team at the time, was practicing at Memorial Middle School.
Yeah.
And there's soccer fields out at Memorials. And there were just a bunch of Spanish dudes out there, adults.
Yeah.
It was not organized. It was not part of any sort of league. It was just like 20 dudes out there playing a pickup soccer game, and they were good.
Yeah.
Like we were standing there watching them, and like they had brought beer, and they were all hanging out, and like it was a big social gathering. And we're like, this is so cool. Yeah. It'd be like if me and 20 of my buddies just went out to Renner and got a pickup game going together. You know, I mean, it was real. I was like, yeah, that's a cool thing.
I was in Denver a long time ago, 10, 12 years ago, and with a bunch of friends, some guy's bachelor party. We were staying at an Airbnb in some middle-class neighborhood in the middle of town, not far from downtown, and there was just like a neighborhood pub that was big enough to have a World Cup viewing party. It was like Germany versus Mexico, and there could have been people from 20 different countries at this thing. It wasn't just a bunch of Germany fans and Mexico fans and USA fans. It was like literally people from all over the world, and you're like, okay, now I can really, I can kind of get into this. I can watch this. And same thing for the Team USA gatherings. Obviously, I'll cheer. And the great point that Jackson, who used to be here and is now over at Craven, has made is that as a guy who's been working in sports for us for 20 years, he can vouch pretty much, at least in a place like Sioux Falls, with the exception of maybe like a big crowd for a Jackrabbit football, like national championship game. This is the only place it's the only time where everybody's in the bars cheering for the same team. You know, That doesn't happen very. That doesn't happen very often, at least in a fractured sports market like Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
Unless you're a specific Vikings or watch party or Chiefs sometimes here. But
when we owned B-Dubs way back in the day, one year I remember the World Cup, people were coming in asking if we would put the World Cup on the big screen, and we agreed to do it, but in the like back room section, we wouldn't let them have the main bar, and they were mad at us, and they're like, you're going to lose business, and we're like, we have our regulars, and they don't want to watch soccer, and it was kind of a Twins and Vikings bar for the most part, and we were like, we'll put it on, but over here, the Twins are on, baseball's on, and I don't think we could get away with that today.
No.
But 20 years ago, it did not cost. No. It was not a costly financial decision. It was like, hi, this bar is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, there might be better places for you if that's what you want to watch.
A lot more World Cup fans. Our friend Orion, the same thing, and that's a smaller place, not hard to fill. It just feels like there's been more of that the last 10 or 15 years. When the World Cup rolls around, it's not hard to find.
Well, like you said, Sioux Falls is a hell of a lot more diverse now than it was in 2006.
Yeah. Let's get to the big story of the day, I guess, because it came when we were gathered last night before Trent started doing Cotton Eye Joe, and people were like, "Dude, put your shirt back on." That's when we saw the news. Sorsby no longer at Texas Tech. You made the prediction last week right here on the show that there's going to
he would not end up playing
somehow.
For him.
People are going to be like, this is not worth it, even at Texas Tech. We can't lug this around all season. So now what are your thoughts?
It's just what I expected to happen.
Yeah.
You know, I just the more I looked at it, I was like, why would they risk everything for one dude who's guilty, who did a shitty thing?
Yeah.
You know, and like we were saying before, like, so Pete Rose could have just said, oh, I have a problem, I need treatment, and everything would have been forgiven. Yeah. And it was a silly thing from the jump. And, you know, I don't wish the kid any ill will. I mean, does he really have a gambling problem? Or that's just the excuse to try to be able to maintain his eligibility? if he does
Fair
have
question.
if he does have a problem, I hope he gets treatment for it, and I hope he. I mean, we talked about it last time. It's pretty clear that gambling is becoming a pretty serious issue with young people, and that to me is the bigger story. This is the tip of the iceberg of a thing that's becoming a major problem, and that's another reason to not let him play. Like, there has to be consequences. There has to be deterrence.
Yeah.
So. I think it's good that he's not being able to play anymore. Good luck to him in the NFL or wherever he goes from here. I don't think he should lose the right to work to try to have a football career. But you gave up your right to play college football.
Oh, and $6 million.
Yeah, and so I kind of think that it was just sort of one of those, it just seemed like the logical conclusion. There's no way this is going to continue, and Texas Tech is just going to risk everything for this kid. So obviously they came to the conclusion we all assumed they would. Hey, is this really worth it? Maybe we should just cut our losses and follow the rules. And, so, I mean, the next piece of it, I guess, is he's just going to go away and we'll never hear from him again probably. But who's the next one? What's the next shoe to drop as far as gambling in college athletics and youth athletes? I mean, I saw McFeely tweeted something today about he was listening to the Dan Patrick show, and Dan gave this long speech about the dangers of
Dan
gambling,
used to gamble a lot.
and then immediately read off an ad for DraftKings.
Yep.
And I'm no different. I mean, it's tough to make it in sports media these days. If a gambling company is willing to sponsor you, you take that sponsorship.
Yep.
And you feel dirty doing it,
well,
I guess.
But those reads that he does, and basically all the national shows do them at some point, they'll always have at the very end, if you have a gambling addiction problem, call this number. They always want to cover their bases. And we mentioned it last week. It's a lot like drinking. We're here at a place, and there's tons of them all over town that have almost unlimited supplies of alcohol, and you can be here all day, all night. They're happy to take your money unless you start acting belligerently. And it's just kind of incumbent on you to mitigate your own health. And gambling is the same way. I don't know if 90,000 bets or 9,000 bets worth $90,000 is. It seems like a lot of bets, but that's $10 a bet on average. So it's not. I don't think the kid was doing it for the money. I think he got addicted to doing it. It kind of seems like he didn't need the money. He's making $6 million just to play.
Yeah, I don't know.
So whatever. And it's also, I don't want to get too wrapped up and reactionary about college guys doing it. Not that obviously could lead to terrible things. He's getting punished now. Yes, he'll be fine. He might get on an NFL team and be a backup and make hundreds of thousands of dollars and live a comfortable life. So we can't feel too sorry for him. But what age group should be most likely to be that addicted to things like gambling and/or alcohol? I guess the 18 to 24-year-old crowd. That's kind of partly what goes along with being that age. Yeah. So it's. Or 20 to 30 once you're out of college and you have a little dough.
I have friends that gamble a lot.
Yeah.
And I know they've lost.
What's that?
Yeah.
You have a friend who's talking about it all the time.
And I remember sometimes friends will text me like they're betting on the Jacks and they want inside information from me. And I'll tell them whatever I know, but I'm like, don't. I'm not. If you lose, I'm not taking the blame.
Don't get mad at me.
I'll tell you, Taron Christian's a little banged up. I don't know. They're missing 2 starters on the defense.
Yeah.
But fortunately, none of my friends have had it affect their life in a negative way, and we've actually talked about it enough that there have been a couple of times I was like, yeah, maybe I should start an account. Because if I pick my spots, and do it judiciously, I could probably come out in the black. But. And I just feel like it's a slippery slope, but I'm better off not going there.
I'm the same way as you. Also, I'm just too lazy. I don't want to do that much homework to make a buck or two. Even fantasy football to me was kind of mildly draining every week.
Yeah, I haven't played fantasy football in 20 years.
It's been several for me, but I mean I did too in college and. Since you have a friend or two that are really into it, and during games, sometimes they seem like they're having a lot of fun. They're having more fun. I mean, I would always hear yelps down the hallway in college, just bullshit yelling at the TV. And the guy's watching like a pair of, crappy teams at the end. It's like, why are you even watching? Oh, that's right. You have a bunch of money on it. Okay, well, certainly gives you a little. That's why a lot of people do it, the adrenaline rush. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, hey, I could maybe enjoy watching sports more that way. But
I used to do fantasy football and baseball because I thought the draft was fun. Like a couple times I did leagues where we did in-person drafts. Like 10 of us would get together at a bar and do the draft. That was fun. Yeah. But then I was like, okay, that was the fun part for me. And
did you ever do rotisserie baseball?
I mean, I do. I've done fantasy baseball in this current. You draft a team and.
What's the difference between rotisserie?
I'm not
baseball
even
and
entirely
fantasy?
sure
Okay.
if there's a difference.
That's
what they
some
called it
devotion.
way back in the day.
That is some devotion when you're putting together your own lineup each and every
I
single
did
day.
fantasy baseball all through college, and you had to update your lineup like twice a week or whatever. And I won a couple leagues.
Yeah.
And I won like $150 or something, and then when I was a grown up, I did a couple football leagues where I think you put in 50 and the pot was 300 or something. And like I said, I went to the draft, had a blast, and then never updated my lineup the rest of the year. And I was like, okay, I'm never doing this again. And I haven't.
You watch the Twins almost every day anyway. We mentioned this, but now with finals and Stanley Cup in the rearview mirror, it takes a little more center stage. We are almost halfway through the slate now, so it's still monotonous, and it still feels like they're not really going anywhere. But we do have an emerging Byron Buxton home run kind of.
He's having an MVP caliber season.
Freight train that's going here.
Yeah, I mean the big question I guess is, will he get tired of this and be willing to waive his no trade clause? Will they look to trade him? I mean, because they're essentially wasting him. I mean, he's probably a top 5 player in baseball right now, and they're 10 games under 500 in a bad division. They're not going anywhere. Yeah. So the nice thing is he gives you a reason to watch.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So there's that, and I hope that within the next couple of weeks or months, if those younger guys get healthy, maybe we see Walker Jenkins, Kalen Culpepper, Emmanuel Rodriguez, some of their top prospects. Because right now, I mean, it's like, and Royce Lewis has been great since getting sent down to the minors, so that's kind of been encouraging. But there's just so many just random schlubs on that team. It's kind of like, just call up the young guys and give us something to look forward to.
Okay. You mentioning the worth watching thing. By the way, he's second most home runs through 74 games by a Minnesota Twin in its history, dating back to what, 1961, 1962? 61.
I assume Harmon Killebrew.
He has the most at 28, so still 5 more than Buxton has right now. And then Killebrew also has 4 of the top 5. He's 3, 4, and 5 all time. So but it's historically been great. And I've made the argument in the past that Buxton is the most exciting to watch Twins player ever. When it comes to the combo of the hitting, the speed on the base paths, the difference that he makes because of that, obviously some of the freak ground he can cover and diving catches he can make in the outfield. And so to a degree, he is a reason to watch, but then I think about it, when it comes to baseball compared to other sports, when you talk about, hey, the team might not be very good or they might not be your favorite team, but you're going to watch that team because of one player, it just kind of feels like, is that really very often the case for baseball, besides a unicorn like Shohei?
Yeah, or a starting pitcher.
It's got to be a pitcher.
Right, Paul Skeens, you show up to see him pitch.
Because they're like a quarterback. They have the ball in their hands on every play half the time.
Yeah.
But who's actually ever tuning in to watch a whole game just to wait for
especially
one guy to come up to bat?
He might get the day off here and there.
Yeah.
He didn't play the game we were there last weekend. He was dinged up, so he didn't play. And my whole family, they're like, that's the only player we've heard of.
Yeah.
So everyone in my family was like, where's Buxton playing? Where's Buxton playing? And I was like, he's not playing. Like, what do you mean he's not playing? And I was like, that happens sometimes. Guys get a day off.
Yep.
And they were all like, well, we don't know a single other player on the team.
I know. I went to, my first ever Dodger game. I went to in April of last year. Ohtani wasn't playing, but he came to pinch in the 8th inning, and it was a big
The Dodgers
moment.
Come to Target Field this year.
Okay.
So that's potentially.
I mean, okay, so there might be games worth watching because there's more than one guy to watch, but like I'll ask Cordell, like, do you watch a bunch of baseball in general? No. Have you ever? No. Would you ever watch and wait for one guy to come to bat 4 times a game? Like, Joe Mauer. Okay. Like you would sit there intently watch and just wait for Joe Mauer to come up to bat. Okay. So I don't even have that kind of attention span. It just might be I'll just watch the highlights, but
I think what he means is if you're flipping through the channels and you come across a Twins game that you're not. I'm sitting down to watch this game for 3 hours, but if I'm flipping through and he's up to bat, you stop.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Football and basketball, it's obviously a lot easier to tune in to watch one player because they're in on almost all the plays. You were at the Canaries game yesterday. It's
for a few innings, yeah.
It's rough. They have it's early.
Two best players are hurt. So.
Two best players are hurt. Yeah. Two best hitters. I mean, take Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig off the 1927 Yankees.
And that's kind of how impactful those two guys are to this lineup. So.
Josh Raywald, who played at USF, and Jabari Henry, they're both big-time sluggers.
They both have 1,000 OPS right now. So you take those two guys out of the lineup, that's pretty significant.
Big home run threat waiting to happen. It affects how the pitchers approach the entire lineup, not just the meat of the lineup like those guys. And so... and pitching's been a struggle for Sioux Falls. So I actually saw you at the game, and then I noticed, he didn't write anything. Thank you. You didn't have to, because it seems like every time you come to a game, they lose.
I wrote before the game, like, hey, they're playing at 11 tomorrow to try to get some people out there. But well, there were 1,000 screaming kids out at the ballpark yesterday. Canaries are home Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they're back on the road, and they're back home next Friday, Saturday, Sunday that weekend. NBA Finals, we were both happy the Knicks won. I think we talked about that last week. Like, why not? Right.
I never had anything against the Knicks. They're not the Lakers. They're not the Celtics. There hasn't been a lot of reason to hate them over the years. Good for them.
It's always fun if your team isn't going to win to see a new champion.
Yeah.
The NBA's had a different champion for like 7-8 years running now, so that's a good thing.
Okay. Happy to.
I don't have much more to say about
that.
I was rooting for the Knicks. Good for them. And I probably never will again because, like I said, like when the Yankees won the World Series in '95, that was the first one they had won in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so I was kind of like, I'd like to see the Yankees win a World Series. I've never seen that before. Yeah. Okay, well, now I've seen it happen like 5 times, so I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same with the Knicks. I won't ever feel any real need to root for them again, but good for them this year.
Was there anything involved in the basketball that you watched that you were like, this is fun to watch?
I mean, the fact that the Spurs blew a double-digit lead in every single game in the series was pretty wild, and it makes me wonder, is the Spurs coach is a moron? Or it's just so hard in the NBA now. Like, is it really the coach's fault? How much do the players even listen to the coaches in the NBA nowadays? It's easy to say this guy's a moron, but maybe his players are just idiots. I don't know.
I mean, going through the last couple of years of Timberwolves talks with Chris Johnson when we're walking through these playoff series, and he's totally convinced, and he can convince you that throughout a series, coaches are making adjustments. So don't expect the same thing to happen every single night because they do have coaching staffs, and they are going to, like Karl Anthony Towns destroyed Wemby for a couple games, and then all of a sudden the Knicks just decided, okay, we'll put somebody else on Karl Anthony Towns.
But just being a Wolves fan and listening to Finch's pre and post game pressers and listening to what the players say and watching the games, I always got the impression that Finch is a pretty good coach, but that there's only so much he can do. I mean, there are times where he sort of gives off like, I told him.
Yeah.
They're
being idiots.
I can't make him do it,
That seems to be the case at a lot of levels of basketball.
Well, I was going to say, now it's becoming the case in college because if you piss a guy off, he's just going to get in the portal and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of at the mercy of,
Yeah, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Did you... Greg Steeman had a good tweet after the game. It did appear that the Knicks, the older, more veteran team, appeared to be that YMCA group that just, would always fall behind early to the younger, more athletic dudes. And then by the end of the game, they were just running circles around him because they just, they knew the tricks of the trade and played smarter basketball. So
the Spurs
and tried harder.
The Spurs' best player is a 22-year-old, and the Knicks have Jalen Brunson, who's, however good you think he is a veteran floor general type of player, and those are the kind of guys you win championships.
He was pretty amazing. He's there's been very few players that have taken over a series like that. Yeah. You are writing a series, just the trend, like 4 in the last week or so of the incoming transfers for South Dakota State's basketball team.
Yep.
What have you been finding any common threads or anything?
I mean it's. We talked during the season and after the season. You and I kind of opined on what we thought the Jacks needed. And then after it was over, we talked to Pete about what they needed to do. And, I mean, I'm not going to guarantee that they're going to win the Summit League or anything next year, but he went out and very specifically addressed everything on their list. We need to get shooters. We need a point guard. We need to get more athletic. We need guys that can attack the basket. That's what they went out and got, And I wrote a column before I talked to these 4 guys about, hey, it just looks like this is going to be a pretty good basketball team based on they're bringing a couple talented dudes back. Getting Joe Seiler back is a big deal. Kalen Gary's back in the fold now. I think Blake Elwine's got a chance to be good as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And then you go out, you get E.J. Ryans, who's a veteran floor general point guard, a pass-first point guard. They didn't have that last year. Joe Seiler had to play a lot of point. Jalen Jackson had to play a lot of point. Now they got him in there. Plus Trey Buchanan's going to be coming back, former Iowa Hawkeye who was hurt all last year. So they addressed that need. John Mekinen, the 6'9" wing from Colorado State, I mean, he just looks like a dunker, and that's not like that's all he can do, but he's a guy who can play the 2, 3, or the 4. He's long. He's really athletic. He specifically said, yeah, I'm a guy who's going to attack the basket. That's something they needed. Jesse Van Kalsbeek, the kid from the NAIA Player of the Year, I mean, he's basically making a jump 2 levels, but the dude averaged 27, 16, and 5. I mean, he was the best player in the entire country at that level. And when you're putting up those kind of numbers, and I think his shooting slash line was like 60, 80, 40. So I'm not saying he's going to be the Summit League Player of the Year, but he's going to be pretty good. And he's a guy who he's not just going to be standing outside shooting jump shots. He's 6'6" and can fly. He's going to be attacking the basket. And then Miles Thompson, the guy they brought in, he's kind of a 6'7", 6'8" big. But he was playing at SIUE, averaged like 10 points a game. Then he got hurt and had to sit out the rest of the season. He says he's healthy now. I'm not sure exactly how he's going to fit in there, but he looks like he's going to be a banger, a guy who can get things done. I mean, they just kind of went right down the list. We need this, we need this, we need this, we need this, and they addressed all those needs. So, Like I said, that doesn't guarantee anything, but last year was kind of like, okay, there's some pretty obvious holes here, and they plugged those holes.
Does it give you any clues as to kind of what type of basketball they want to play, or is it just
I think they want to get away from where last year they were just, kind of relying on shooting jump shots. They couldn't get to the line. They didn't have anybody who could really attack the basket. They had to play through Damon Wilkinson a lot, and that worked. But when teams would double him, if you don't have anybody out that can hit a shot when he kicks it out, they won't. They're not going to have a dominant 5 like they did last year with Wilkinson. I think they're just going to be a more versatile, balanced team.
Okay. Another note that we didn't get to happened, I think it was last week where we found this out. Well, for one, former USD coach Don Plitzuweit gets a contract extension at Minnesota. Not a surprise.
Not a surprise.
Don't have the details right in front of me, but she had them rocking and rolling, won an NCAA tournament game in her 3rd season, and it was their first NCAA tournament appearance in about 8 years. And by the way, the athletic director Mark Coyle got a contract extension, which which I think some people love, some people don't love. But I mean, if you're the University of Minnesota leadership, and that is an issue, whether or not to extend.
I mean, to
Mark
be fair,
Coyle.
his last couple hires have been pretty good.
Look, I mean, a lot of people still love the PJ Fleck hire. That's the most important.
It hasn't been a bad hire.
It hasn't been a grand slam. Maybe a single, maybe a double. But
I'd give it a double at least.
The people seem to be pretty comfortable with that.
PJ's annoying.
Yes.
And that's always going to be the case. But
he's generating about the same number of wins that Jerry Kill was and that Glenn Mason was. I mean, he has not elevated it much.
And I think most Gopher football fans would tell you, and like when they fired Glenn Mason, it was right after they blew that 35-point lead against Michigan, and everyone's kind of like, all right, that's enough. And then 5 years later, they're like, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't so bad going 7-4 and making the Motor City Bowl every year.
Well, you had the con man, Tim Brewster, come in and almost purposefully take everything down so they could go 1-10.
Yeah.
Then they could go 7-6 back to Mason standards the next year, and everybody's like, "Hey, that was the best, the best win increase ever."
And I'd never felt great about Jerry Kill or Tracy Clays. So PJ's done a good job. Whatever you think of him, the ceiling is only so high at Minnesota. I don't care. Well, look at Indiana. Well, they don't have what Indiana has. So, I think PJ's been a pretty good hire. Nico, the men's basketball coach, was a great hire.
Yes. So far, we think. It looks like it's on the uptick.
I think that was before I even saw him coach a game. That was a good hire.
Yes.
And obviously, Dawn was a good hire. Just brought in Greta Melstad to coach the softball team. Hockey with Bob Motzko, and we'll see how that goes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he hired Motzko. He was there.
Yeah.
And that's a good hire.
It was.
I mean,
it was.
They didn't win a national
championship. And the fact that they fired him, it shows that it's like, hi, the standards are really high here.
Yeah.
This was a good hire, but we're trying something else now.
Yeah. And men's basketball, that's kind of been a whiff a time or two because they had Ben Johnson wasn't ready for the job.
That was a terrible hire.
I can't even remember who was before him.
Pitino. Yeah, but Pitino was okay. It was a reach at the time. I was like, oh, so he's Rick Pitino's kid? Okay.
Yeah.
And he did okay. He didn't do great, but he wasn't a complete failure.
He had 2 NCAAs in 7 years. It was kind of like Tim Miles at Nebraska.
I mean, they had Tubby Smith, and the whole thing was when they hired Tubby, they're like, hey, we're getting this big-name coach who's won a national championship, and now you're at Minnesota where the expectations aren't as high as they are at Kentucky, so just get to the NCAA tournament and we'll be happy. He did, and they still fired him.
Yeah, right.
And then he went to Grand Canyon and won, or High Point, I think it was.
And I think Memphis
took them.
Memphis, Texas Tech. He's been High Point.
Most recently, he was at High Point.
Okay, yeah, he just kind of kept on going down the ladder a little bit.
But he wins
coaching.
everywhere.
He does. Yeah, and Coyle didn't hire him, but yes. So it's fine. He's done fine. It's kind of like Fleck. Just he's done fine. Keep him going. It's don't upset the apple cart. And the bottom line, they must be making a little money there. They're not Ohio State or Michigan, but if they were really in dire straits, they would do something about that. By the way, St. Thomas and Minnesota are finally going to play.
You know why?
Basketball.
Because Nico's the coach, and he's not scared of losing to him.
Yeah, right.
The last few coaches were like, what if I lose to St. Thomas? Who cares? Big deal. You lost to SDSU and USD twice in 1 week.
Yeah.
I mean, God, get over yourself.
Yeah.
So I love that Nico's like, yeah, I'll play him.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if we lose? Oh, my God. That didn't surprise me in the least.
It helps that
That's
they're
just
good.
Another example of why he was a good hire.
Yeah, you'll reach the NCAA tournament if you just go 500 in the Big Ten. That's usually how it works. Just go 500 in the Big Ten. Maybe have 1 or 2 nice non-conference wins. If St. Thomas isn't one of them, it's
Ben Johnson more or less said on the
field.
record, I will never play them. It's like chicken shit.
Wow.
You know?
And the women's team, I don't think had played him much. Do you mind telling the Pitino story about losing to South Dakota teams?
He was the Gophers coach when they lost to USD and SDSU in the same week. And then later, like a week after that, he came down to Sioux Falls with the Gophers to play, pretty sure it was Oklahoma State at the Pentagon. And after the press conference where they lost Oklahoma State in the Pentagon, like I was in there, but I wasn't really asking any questions. It was just Star Tribune, a bunch of Gopher reporters were in there. And he seemed to have a pretty good rapport with all of them, even though I found out later that none of them really liked each other. But so the press conference gets over, and they turn off the microphone and everything. And I'm not going to say, like, direct quote because I don't remember perfectly well enough. But he basically said, I'm never setting foot in South Dakota ever again after going essentially 0-3 against South Dakota teams or venues that year. So that was funny.
And I don't know if he ever – I can't remember if he ever did or not.
I don't think the Jacks or Yotes have played the Gophers since then. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. That was Nagy's last year as the Jacks coach. Because that was Jake Biddle, George Marshall, DeAndre Parks, that team.
Good memory.
Yeah.
Do you know what at all to make, or have you cared about, again, this is summertime, this is kind of how much do we care stuff. Vikings, minicamp, split reps between McCarthy and Kyler Murray.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm interested, but I'm not, I just assume that Kyler Murray is the starting quarterback.
That's what everybody's kind of doing.
I mean, and it probably should be that way. J.J. got thrown to the wolves. The whole thing got upset by him missing that first year. You can say he's not a rookie, but he really was.
Of course he was, yeah.
And so he needs to spend another year, I think, learning, whatever. And there's this whole, we have to, take advantage of his rookie contract. Well, do you think some other team is going to give him $150 million after his rookie contract is up? Don't worry about that. If he doesn't do anything over the next couple of years, you could probably sign him to another contract that won't be expensive because he won't have proven anything. Kyler's going to be their guy because there's a new GM coming in,
right?
And at some point, the seat underneath Kevin O'Connell needs to heat up.
Yes,
I mean he's had every other year is good, bad, and both times in the playoffs they got embarrassed. So, You know,
And those are the good years.
right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And the 2 bad years.
So
were
if I'm
like,
Kevin O'Connell, I'm like, you know what? I need to win this year. And Kyler Murray gives me the best chance to
he's
do
a
that.
5th-year coach who hasn't won a playoff game yet, even though he's done a lot of positive things. He's been coach of the year. And by the way, he kind of got mulligans for each of his 2 bad years because he had multiple quarterbacks hurt in each of those years. I mean, you had the Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins year.
Yeah.
When Cousins got hurt last year, McCarthy gets hurt, and it's Wentz and what's his name again? Brosmer. So it's all a disaster, which, by the way, you might need both Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy.
And Carson Wentz. That's why they brought Wentz back, too. They don't want to go Max Brosmer again.
These guys are all bound to get hurt. You need results now. I think Kyler Murray, given health, could be just like Sam Darnold when he was with the Vikings and have his best, his best year as a pro.
He was solid with the Cardinals. You know, his stats were decent. I mean, he just didn't rise to the level that they wanted to give him another, you know.
I did the diligence of going and looking this up. He had, first of all, they had 1 winning season and 1 playoff season in his 7 years. That was his 2nd year. The last several years, they've either gone 3-14, 4-13. They had 1-8-9 in there. He had bottom 10 offensive lines each of the last 4 years, bottom 10 defenses each of the last 4 years. So he's not protected, and which is why partly is why he's injury prone.
And he's a midget, but
and he's small, yes. And then he doesn't have a defense. By the way, playing in a division with McVay and the Rams and the Seahawks, who just won the Super Bowl, and the Niners, who are always good and occasionally go to Super Bowls. So maybe the toughest division with some of the best offensive minds, and Seattle finally got a quarterback, won the Super Bowl. That's 6 games a year. You add all that up. He's been in a terrible place to play football and have any sort of success. Playing from behind all the time, which means you're making desperate throws, ends of games, more mistakes, more interceptions. If the Vikings line is okay, I can't believe this, but the Vikings offensive line was rated 14th last year by PFF. I mean, if the 2 tackles are healthy and he's protected well, the defense we all expect to be pretty good. You're working with an above average at the least offensive mind calling the plays. He could be pretty damn good.
We'll see. I'm not real excited about the Vikings this year. I see their ceiling as 10-7, you know, but I'm still going to watch every Sunday.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good place to end it. Cordell, do you have anything else to bring up? We good? It's just a lazy Tuesday here at the Gateway. Let's go play golf or something. We should do that. For video producer Cordell Wright, for Matt, I'm John. Happy hour and cheers.
Why are you laughing?
That was a terrible outro.
You.
Guys need a round of drinks?
Yes.